我是美国出生的，我是对中国的文化感到真好，自豪。这个是说的是 in respect to Chinese culture, it's very important to me, and as a personal philosophy, what I bring to our company, we deal in cultural art and design, and for what to me is very important is how Westerners see Chinese people. I grew up in America, and in the West there's an admiration and a respect for the mysticism of Chinese culture, and there's an appreciation of that, but also at the same level there's a dichotomy in this view. When they look at us, they see us as making low-end, cheap products, and there is a lack of respect towards China and the things that we produce. We are a country that makes high-quality items. We have a 5,000-year-old culture that is to be greatly admired. And on one level, while it is admired, doesn't gain the respect that it does. As a point of reflection, you have hotels in America where they'll have Japanese written on the elevator walls for Japanese tourists or businessmen who come by, yet they don't have it Chinese. And there are 10 times as many Chinese businessmen, and China has more money than Japan, and we do more business with America. We have more debt from America than any other country at this point, and yet they don't accord this simple measure of respect for our language and our people. So a big part of my personal mission is to elevate the reception of China, to really have America understand that we make first top quality goods. We create top quality products. Our merchandise is beautiful. We make great high quality things, not just cheap Walmart items. And in this respect, this is something that is a part of my personal philosophy and what I bring to the company. Now, in understanding Zigu, we know how the design realm works. We understand how the market in America works, and we understand how to brand things in America. This is a difficult issue for coming from one culture to another, and I have the balance of both in this respect. So we know what American companies want. We understand how they want it and when they want it. Market timing in America is very important. It's not like it is in other parts of the world. America's a unique landscape. With this regard, we have special rules that nobody else in the world does. It makes things very easy that are very hard elsewhere, and it makes things very hard that are very easy elsewhere. So it's understanding how to balance these things. But the most important thing is that we work very hard and we have the talent to do things well. And this is what makes our company great. We're based out of Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, London, New York. We have over 2,000 employees now. Some of our literature says 1,000, but that's from last year actually. Last year we grossed over 400 million American RSUE renminbi. And we're growing very strong. Right now, actually today, I'm negotiating a $3.5 million contract to design an urban space on the West Coast. It's a very famous space, and I hope that goes well. We're doing work, we're doing CGCC's annual event. We're doing the Grand Central Centennial here. We're designing events for major American corporations. Right now, most of our product line is for customized, specific requests for the clients. But by the same token, I also have opened up the retail outlets in America. So, 在美国，一个电话我可以打到那个 big buyers for the major corporations. Whereas it takes other companies, other people 3 years to get through these same channels. It's a matter of understanding how to work with the companies to get what you need. And in this, we happen to be very good at it. I think this covers the rest of it. Do you have any questions? I might be able to.
Can I have one question?
Yes.
We know that there are a lot of such kind of cultural companies in China, based in China, and also, but I'm not sure how many similar cultural companies are there in the United States. But compare with those companies, cultural companies in China, what kind of special features do you have, and what kind of advantages do you have?
The first advantages I would put forward. 我们最高级不是白话. So a lot of I've run into a lot of companies who sit there and say, oh, we do luxury goods, and then when you look at their product, it falls apart. The packaging is poor, the labels are poor, the little piece of paper that comes with it poor. There's a matter of knowing how to do things properly. We are a true luxury market company. Most of the predominant line is Trenjing training. We have a great deal of talent in our artists. We invest very much in our artists. They are a part of our company, and we do so in a way that no other company does. We give them an equity stake in their products, in their creations, in their designs. They feel personally, wealth-wise, as well as prestige, the success of their creations, and they get recognition, and they get a significant portion of, in terms of, we reward them for their work, and we give them a direct ratio of whatever revenue is brought in on any of their creations. And in this respect, it's recognizing, giving them a royalty. This is taken from the Western model in part, but giving them a serious royalty on the revenue that they bring in, it gives them a huge incentive to create and come up with new ideas and work as hard as they do. And they do work very hard. One of our lead designers, he's famous because he created the Olympic gold medal for China, Beijing. And we have many other famous designers, lead team on the Fuwa for Beijing. We have the Beijing, we're one of the few precious metal designers for the Beijing Olympics, Shanghai Expo, the Guangzhou Asian Games, Hainan Games coming up next year. We did the 100 Flowers Film Festival. We did major events, and these were all earned on pure talent. We went to submit for blind competitions. They don't know who we are. They just see what our work is. And that's how we got in. They saw the quality of what we do. And that's really how we gained our position. And for all of our, you can say Guanxi, whatever else, that is important. But really, if you don't have the ability to do these things, you can talk about being a great artist. You have to be a great artist. You have to draw and create and have that vision and be able to show it and make it for people and let them see it. And when you put that in front of them, the difference between someone who can do and someone who says they can do is very big and very tangible. And in this we deliver. We are very good at what we do.
Can I just have a follow-up?
Sure.
You mentioned many times about the quality product that I just want to know, how would you define the definition of quality? Of course, everywhere they can tell which is good, which is bad. But for a company, if you want to invest something, if you want to explore a market, then you have to make. I guess, do you have a standard of?
It's a personal standard of excellence. Mm-hmm. You have to be individually proud of what you're making. The pride of my philosophy is something that pervades the company. We take great pride in everything that we do, and the chairman of the company as well. He takes great pride, and there's a personal sense of what he does. We all share this, and this is something that's uniform throughout the company. Of course, you have different opinions, like, oh, I think this is good, this is not. Sometimes it comes down to an executive decision. Someone has to, excuse me. Someone has to make a concerted effort to really evaluate a product. And maybe a product isn't as good as it should be, in which case it has to go back to the drawing board and redone. And you really look for where the criticisms are and the balance of what makes it good and workable. In this respect, it is very much excuse me, a measure of the personal effort and looking over what it is that we make and making sure all the components are there, top to bottom. You can look at the great CEOs of the world, and one that everybody likes to refer to as Steve Jobs. Every nuance of what he makes, he goes through. And they're very thorough. Not just the iPhone or the iPad, but all the packaging, all the little pieces, the pieces of plastic that go onto it, the little manual that goes with it, the little piece of cardboard. Everything is tested and looked at before you put it together. And then when it's put together, you look at it again and you make sure it's done 100% top to bottom perfectly. You don't accept any flaws. And that's the standard of excellence that we stand by and that we hold forward. And that's what makes us better than all of our competitors.
Excuse me. First of all, thank you for the detailed information. I was wondering if you could elaborate more in terms of how would you, through your products and your services, reintroduce, or perhaps I should say upgrade the image of China to the American mainstream society, mainstream population, in light of currently where just so many misconceptions, misunderstanding, or I would even say hostility. You mentioned in your introduction that China is America's biggest debt holder, while that is an undeniable fact, but politically speaking, that is not something that the American get reminded of.
That would be a separate political discussion that I could have with you. I could have a long political discussion with you on that, and I have a great deal of commentary in that realm. A great deal of commentary, and it's you can think of it when America was doing business with Japan, they welcomed the Japanese. You know, they'd beaten them in a war and everything else, and they welcomed Japanese owning American real estate, doing all these business things, and yet look at how they treat Chinese. And it's a balance of how things are, and it's partially political, but part of it has to do with, this is skipping your question, although I'll come back to it in a second, but it's understanding what the Japanese were very good at was public relations and media management. China tends not to be. By and large, China has this. Better way of putting it, you can think of it. I don't know how to explain it that well, actually, in English or in Chinese, but it's a sentiment of just, how you dress or how your appearance is secondary to the work that you do. Working hard is more important than anything else. That is a very deep Chinese philosophy that I was brought up with. It's more important to work hard, get the job done right. Pretty is all good when it's all finished and it's done properly. So we tend to focus on that rather than appearances. There are other cultures out there that are a little bit more focused on appearance than they are on substance. And of all things, Americans like appearance. It's the youngest culture in the world. Everything has to be cool, and they hang on to odd things in culture that we don't quite get. So it's a matter of understanding how to manage the public relations in this respect. And China, to be honest, is not the best at managing public relations. This is an issue of the national government of China really needs to step forward and grab this and push it forward. Part of it would be, investing more and China did make a good effort in investing in film, and we had some beautiful works come out of there that actually did help change Western attitudes, because they saw how a lot of people who saw Crouching Tiger and Dragon is a great favorite, and so many of those other movies. This gives them a sense of the great history of China. But some cultural points confuse Westerners. And this using movies as a reference. Hero, as an example of a movie, that to some Westerners, they didn't quite get it. Okay. Now, as a Chinese person, ooh, wow, this is spectacular. This is part of my history. The idea, the contemplation of this is great. Yet, to Westerners, it didn't entirely connect with them. And understanding how to connect with them in that landscape is also important. And connecting with Westerners in more than just commodities, in ideas, is an important aspect. We are very similar, but we have many big differences. And feeling that out and understanding how to manage that is important. In terms of how we, Zigu, are working to balance this, first off, we focus on making a great high-end product. And one of my biggest missions is to create a high-end Chinese brand, literally from scratch. And we are doing so leveraging American corporations. We basically have gained placements. I can put my stuff in the biggest Western stores from Europe to America. These are the trend leaders, and my products can be featured alongside of the biggest names, Prada, Hermès, Versace, Tiffany. We're in a position to do that, but we're preparing, because what I put on there with those things, those products, must meet that standard. And so we're not rushing that part. My first mission is basically we've opened up the market space. We're doing business with major corporations. We're doing their events. It's a very narrowly tailored realm. It does generate a great deal of revenue. It's millions in and of itself. And in this respect, it's something that they specifically want. It's something that only we can do in respect to the design, and we create it and make it in a very high quality manner, which they embrace. This is one step. It's a very basic step to make them appreciate this is a high quality product. Establishing our presence on shelf space in the biggest stores where our products from China, made in China, Chinese brand, are pushed out there with all the greatest brands in the world is also another step. It's a slow, incremental step along with a giant advertising campaign and everything else. It's slow and incremental. You basically sit there, you cannot expect to capture all of America instantly. But we're working, and in our case, we're working from the top down. So our products are not cheap, our services are not cheap, they're very, very high quality, and we focus on it from that standpoint. We deliver perfection and excellence, and that's how we tell it out. One of our biggest projects is going to be a $3.5 million project. Will be for designing a major American, urban space. If this works out, it will give us a very big name, and it will give us higher recognition. This is a Chinese design, and this is important. And we're looking to. We're not even half a year in America at this point, but this is how far we've gotten. And with a standard of excellence and understanding how to work in this market space, this is how far you can get. And we're very happy with where we are now. And we'll be doing. We'll get to where we need to in a short while.
Okay. A question from USWTV. Before this interview, we have already searched the internet and we get nothing about your company. Do you have a specific plan for marketing or promotion in future? And another question is, where can we buy your products? Where are your stores located?
Well, in China, this is to go. Actually, let's back. This is. You can look at it in the back, pull up the websites, you'll see what some of our products look like. Our American website isn't fully up yet. But you can, if you look at this, and you can pass this around, you can see some of our Chinese websites.
This is the website where you can find
Actually, that's not the best one. The eKingyi is the best one.
Okay.
e-kingyee.com is a more thorough website. Take a look at that. You'll see some of our products. You'll get a range of what some of our current product lines are. We have a couple of different websites, so it divides up. Some of it has to do with organizational structure and what's marketed in one realm and another. Different things are sold to different companies, so they get different websites for different things to look at. If you're selling to one company for one thing, we give them one website. If you're selling for something else, we give them another website. But as a general viewpoint, you can take a look at this. And as a general reference, in terms of listing it online, we should be using the e-kingyee.com. And this booklet has some of our products that you can see. I actually didn't think to bring anything.
Very nice. But where can we buy these products?
We have stores in. How many stores do we have in Beijing? There's like 50 stores in Beijing, I think. We have a couple of stores in Shanghai. The Zigu name is the American name. The Chinese name is Kingyi. So in China, you'll see us in stores.
But concerns about New York.
In America, the Zigu is a brand that we're building here, and so with respect to our brand here, the website is basically a shell at this point. We're selling direct to corporations. We're doing event design specific to and corporate and open spaces right now. So we're designing for large projects to basically build a brand. So that's the beginning piece. And then we're putting stuff on store shelves. Before we actually put up those product lines, we have to iron out and have the whole lines laid out. I don't want to put that online and not have the complete line set up. As I mentioned, we want to make sure everything is perfect as possible. And when we drop it onto store shelves, there's an advertising campaign that goes with it. There's an entire public relations management that goes with it. This interview, for example, is for CGCC to really talk about what we're doing as a company to build our presence in America. One thing that we don't want to do is put a lot of stuff on the website that we can't really offer.
Okay.
And there are issues there are certain items that are available in one market space that are not available in another. And for some of the artwork that we sell, some of our precious items are not suitable for an American audience. So we focus on it we're designing specific to America.
Okay, thank you.